In this video, we'll go over how to debug C++ code on macOS using LLDB. Now, if you're not sure what LLDB is, it's basically like GDB, which is a debugger that you can use on other platforms, but LLDB is the same thing on macOS. Why do you need to use a debugger? Oftentimes, print statements can solve all the problems that you need, and that's how I try to debug this code right here. However, I quickly learned that it was really difficult to do that. So let me just show you the example. I'm currently working on a shader game engine that essentially allows me to write, edit, and iterate on shaders quickly. It allows me to hot reload them and things like that. The actual application is not relevant to this video. What's relevant is this code right here. Inside the main render loop, there is this if statement. The value is enable CRT. If this is enabled, what I want to do is run my shader through a CRT filter. So the first step is to configure the shader uniforms, which is a pretty straightforward function. The next thing that I did was draw to textures. First, what you need to do here is create a temporary texture, pass in the current render texture to that temporary texture, and also pass in the CRT shader. And finally, you need to copy that temporary texture back to the render texture, which is essentially the final texture that gets displayed. So that is the piece of code that we're working with. And I wanted to simplify it because it looked pretty redundant here. So I asked ChatGPT, hey, can you help me simplify this piece of code? And it gave me something reasonable. It said, here you go. Why don't you create a draw to texture function? Now, if I hover over this, you'll see that it says it takes in the source texture and the target texture or the destination texture and a pointer to a shader. In the first iteration, you pass in the render texture as the source and the temp texture as the destination. And then in the second call, you swap it. This is all fine and good. The point of contention for me was when ChatGPT added this null pointer right here. Now this is fine when you pass it into this function call because this takes in a pointer, and that can be a null pointer. That's fine. My issue was right here. So in this line of code, we can see right here, the texture target takes in two values, a sprite and a shader, and the draw function in the texture target. I wanted to understand how can a null pointer go into this function. So I went to the function definition. Essentially, I just wasn't sure what's happening here. It seems like there's some code being called before this function is being called, possibly right over here. And it was really difficult to follow. So I realized that for me to understand what ChatGPT was telling me, I needed to use a debugger. And that's why I set it up. I specifically wanted to see what's happening to the null pointer over here, how we can just pass in a null pointer to this draw function, and what's being called internally in the SFML library. And that's sort of the premise of why I decided to start learning LLDB. And in order to run the debugger, you need to run a special cmake command. So oftentimes you do like cmake ... but this time you're going to have to add in this part right here, which is -dcmake _build _type equals debug. This is telling cmake to make a special type of program that LLDB can understand. Now, if you're doing a simple C++ file, you might want to add the -g flag, which essentially does the same thing. Now, I've already run this command, so we can do LLDB and run it on the actual executable. So once that's up and running, we can now start using some of the LLDB commands. Now, the first command to use probably is going to be help, because this will give you a list of all the commands that are available, and I highly recommend you look into them and learn more. Now, if you want to know what a specific command does, you can do something like help n, which will tell you what n is. N is an abbreviation for thread step over. Essentially, go to the next line in the C++ code. And it also tells you other commands that you can run alongside n, like -e or -c or things like that. So you could do help di. Di is an abbreviation for disassemble, so this will show you the assembly code. So we're going to go over a couple of commands that I use to kind of debug the issue that I was facing earlier. So the first command that obviously is useful for me is adding a breakpoint, and I want to add it on main just to start. And now I need to run the program. So I could press RUN and press enter, and it will run the program and stop directly on main. So here we can see that there is a global state struct that is called GS. I can do S to step into it and press enter. And now you can see that it's essentially taking me to the place where this struct is defined. So now I'm here, so if I press S again, I'm going to go here, and it's essentially defining the struct line by line. You know, we'll keep going down like this. I could press N as well to keep going, keep going, keep going. I'm essentially defining a global state struct that has all these variables, and all these variables are initialized to false. And inside of the UI, I'm going to enable them one by one at some point. And the issue that we were talking about earlier is right here, where enable CRT is enabled, and we are running through shader draw to texture function and passing in the null pointer. So again, this is just, you know, just giving you an idea of how to iterate through some of the code. So I'm going to press N again. So the commands we just went over are B for breakpoint, run, S for step, and N for next. And these are generally the only commands that I really need. That I find this amount of lines of code to not be enough to see what's happening. So what I'm going to do is run this command. Basically, LLDB has a very few amount of lines that it shows by default. So you're going to want to increase this limit. You can set it up in your LLDB init file, and that will ensure that anytime you open up LLDB, you will have this many lines before and after being shown. So let's do that real quick. So I'm going to open up a new terminal. I'm going to do vim LLDB init. As you can see, I've kind of commented these out before, but I'm going to uncomment them. And here we can see that settings set stop line count before 5 and after 5. We might as well make it 8. And I'm going to save that file. And now I'm going to have to exit LLDB with exit, and then press Y to confirm that exit, and then essentially relaunch LLDB. And now, if I were to add a breakpoint and then run the code, it should show me more pieces of code. So let's make sure that's happening. Breakpoint at main, and then let's do run once again. And now you can see that I am seeing 8 lines of code before and 8 lines of code after. And for me personally, this helps a lot more because I kind of need more context sometimes when I'm looking at the code. The next and final thing that I'm going to talk about is setting a target stop hook. So target, I'm going to zoom in here, target stop hook add. So what this hook is going to do is anytime you run a command, it's going to run this hook beforehand. So what I've had it set up to do is do BT, which is backtrace, and then I also have di-pc, which is disassemble at the program counter, and do it for a count of 10 lines. And finally, I'm going to press done. So now, if I say press N, I should see the backtrace, I should see the disassembly, and I should see the code that I am stepping through. So let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to press N, and now you're going to see that that is correct. So here's where I press that N, and here you can see the sort of stack trace. Here you can see assembly, and here you can see the remainder of the code. Now, this is useful if you ever need to kind of go through the assembly line by line. So this is where other commands like ni or si can be useful. So if I do ni, it's not going to go to the next line. N would go from here to here, but ni is going to go to the next instruction. So it should go from here to here. So we should see that this is at the next line, but this should stay at the same line. So let's confirm that. So we can see that this is still at this line, and here, yep, we are at the hello world line. So ni is another command that might be useful, so is si. At least for me personally, I didn't really have to worry too much about the assembly. Now that we have the basic commands understood, let's actually debug the part of the code that I didn't understand in the first place. What happens when we pass in the null pointer to the drawToTexture function? I'm going to add a breakpoint right over here, and let's see where that takes us. Let's first add a breakpoint at drawToTexture, the function, and let's also add a breakpoint at main. So now let's run the code, and here we're going to stop right here once again. So this time let's press C to continue all the way to the second breakpoint. I'm going to press C and press enter. So it's going to take some time, and it's also going to open up the ImGUI SFML window, and let's go from there. Cool. Now I have the window running. Now let's go to the drawTexture function. When is it called? It's called when any of these global state variables, such as enable CRT, is enabled. So if I want to trigger the breakpoint, all I have to do is enable one of these. So let's enable the CRT filter, and now we should see that there is a breakpoint. Cool. We know that we essentially stopped on the first call to drawToTexture right here. So now if I press continue again, we should once again pause right here without a new render loop. It's essentially we've stopped right here. So the first time the shader is going to have a specific value. So if I do P for print and then I type in shader, oh, let me do that here so you can see more clearly, you'll see that it does have a specific value. Now, if I press C one more time, it's going to stop at that same point, but this time it's the second drawToTexture function. So if I press P shader, you'll see that it is null pointer. Now, just to confirm, let's make sure that this essentially works as expected. If I press C one more time, it should do the entire render loop and essentially move this frame forward. So let's just confirm that real quick. If I press C 2 times in a row, right, then you'll see that this is moving, and you can also see that the CRT filter is enabled. I'm going to press C once and then C again, and you can see that it moved a little bit here. If I press C 2 times in a row, it will move here. Now we can finally start going into this function. So let's zoom in a little bit, and now I'm going to press N to go to the next line. So here we're going to stop right here. Cool. So I'm going to press N once more. Now we should see that this gets printed out, drawing texture, which is right here. And now we are finally at the line of code that I need to understand, because I didn't understand exactly what null pointer was doing here. So let's just confirm that P shader is null pointer. Yes, it is. So how is this working? So we can do the S function to step into the code. So I'm going to press S, and it's going to go here. So it's going to get the texture. So what it's doing here, so I'm going to press N now, and essentially we are in this part of the code. This is kind of the most innermost thing, so obviously it's going to get executed first, especially because it's the first variable in the function. So it's calling this innermost function first, and then it's going to go to sprite. So let's type S again, and now we are in the sprite section. Again, we don't really care about this. We only care about what's happening on the second one, so we can press N to kind of skip through it. And now we are finally at the part of the code that I care about, which is when P, or when the shader, is a null pointer. So let's see what happens by pressing S. And so now we're here. And so this is what is essentially happening. So in the code here, somewhere, so somehow it's going all the way to this function call right here, which is render states. So it looks like this pass to the draw function, which it technically goes right here to the render target.draw. Somehow it's not going directly here. It's actually calling some sort of initialization for render states by passing in the shader pointer here. So if I step in again, what happens? Cool. So here we see that we are in this file called renderstates.hpp on line 131. And this is essentially the function, or I guess the struct that is being initialized. So essentially this kind of explains to me what I didn't understand in the code earlier, which is that somewhere this variable is getting initialized. This variable, which is a shader pointer, is somehow being converted to render states. And that's essentially what's happening here. So if I go to renderstates.hpp, which is right over here, and I scroll down a little bit to that line of code, you'll see here that this is a struct that is essentially being initialized. I can step through the code some more using S, and then N, S, N, S. Okay, so as you can see, it's kind of going through all of these and sort of initializing them. So if we press S a couple more times. And so finally, here, we are doing some sort of initialize a list. That's what I hear it is. I mean, first of all, I have like 40 hours of experience with C++, so I personally don't really understand all the C++ syntax or like what initialize a list really are, like at a core level. I'm just kind of walking through the code, trying to understand what's going on. And so essentially, somewhere along here, shader is getting initialized with the null pointer. And so if I keep pressing S some more, then we finally come here, and now the draw function gets called, which again, it goes in here. So basically a lot of stuff happened here before the draw function was called. And that's what I didn't really understand when I was writing, when I was passing in this null pointer here. I was like, how can I just pass in a null pointer? This draw function is taking this variable, but somehow this is working. And it's because a lot of stuff was happening underneath the hood in the SFML library. And, you know, it was really hard to kind of follow that, at least for me, because I've never really worked with C++. So that kind of answered my question about like what's happening under the hood. And finally, I understood that basically before this was getting called, a lot of stuff was happening here. Some form of initialization was happening to render states. And that's why, you know, we're able to say, you know, we're able to call this using the null pointer right here. And that's why ChatGPT actually gave the correct code, and I was just being suspicious of it because that's what a good programmer always does. I didn't believe that what it gave me was the correct code, but turns out it actually was the correct code. I just didn't understand why it was the correct code, and that's why I kind of learned LLDB, set up the debugger, figured all this out, and realized something's going on under the hood. I need to figure out what it is for my own understanding, and I hope that AI, while AI is very helpful, I mean, maybe this is some meta conversation about AI right now, but while AI is very helpful, it can be a little bit confusing if you don't understand what exactly is happening and you just kind of copy the code. And this was one of those moments where I actually spent hours trying to figure out what was happening to this null pointer, and I realized AI is not going to tell me the answer. I need to go into and step through the code. And that's, you know, where LLDB or GDB or any sort of debugger will come into play and help you out. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this video. Hopefully that was pretty helpful. I don't know if I rambled a bit too much. Maybe I'll cut some stuff out. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you like this type of C++ content. It's a lot more in-depth than my other sort of high-level videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.